Okay.
Nah,
Care
not today.
anyway.
I don't think we care.
Come on, let's share a smile.
No.
But you're liking it up there, Diane?
But seriously, I am very, very happy here.
I'm so glad to hear that.
And I just ordered my my tough shed, 10 by 12, and it's going in the backyard. And I couldn't be more excited.
Great.
Excellent. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Where
We miss you,
are
but
you going to put it?
Where am I going to put it?
She has a huge backyard.
I have 3/4 of an acre right now, and I have this huge. It's almost like it was made for me. It's surrounded by vegetable gardens, and guys, I can't. I mean, if I say any more, it'll sound like I'm bragging. I just can't believe how good it is. It's just amazing. I'm so happy. But I miss you guys, obviously, because I'm here. So I'll close.
Glad you're here.
Get started.
What's your temperature like up there, Diane?
Oh, it's hot. Right now, well, what happens is it's cool in the morning, and then about 2 in the afternoon is when it reaches its peak, and it can be up to 100. And then in the afternoon, the clouds come over the mountains and block out the sun, and it starts to get cooler, and then the breeze comes up, and it is just
downstairs. I think so.
so yeah. But it can get very hot. It can get 100. Yeah.
You know what the elevation of the Bishop is?
I can't hear you.
Where do I mute?
I'm sorry.
What's your
The elevation? Elevation's probably around. I think it's around 4,000. But as soon as you start up the hill, you get where we normally hang out is 8,000. So we can be cold anytime we want.
Nice.
Oh, and just the last word, I've already found out there's 3 potters up here. So I haven't met them yet, but I will.
You know what their specialties are?
No, not yet.
Well,
Just have their name.
there's a gentleman in June Lake that has his studio there. He's really good. And he
Oh
also,
yeah, I've seen his work.
yeah,
And
and
I've
he
been
did
in his
classes.
studio.
Yeah, and then there's a lady down the street from him. I can't remember a small. She shares the store there, and she's there too. She does more painting, kind of like glazing, but
Yeah.
He's got the whole full kiln, gas kiln, electric kiln, wheel classes, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he's right down from the Tiger Bar.
Right, exactly. Right, you have to go down. Yeah, you have to go down, and yeah, he's got some very nice things there. He's a very nice man.
Yeah, he is an accomplished potter.
Yeah.
Question.
And he does a lot of stuff for like when you do stuff for, I'm thinking like golfing tournaments and stuff like that for fundraisers and stuff. Yeah, he does mugs. He does all that kind of stuff for them for their shows and stuff. So he drives all the way out to Santa Ana to get his clay and drives all the way back. He fills his truck up and then drives all the way back in one day.
Wow. I don't think I'll be doing that.
Yeah. Well, you could probably ask him. You could probably get clay from him.
Yeah, he's one of the people that I want to introduce myself to.
Yeah,
Clearly.
he's a good guy. Yeah. I mean, Bishop and then what is it up above there? Reno? I guess you could go to Reno and get your clay up there. A lot of people go up to Reno to supply things.
we just went up to Carson City yesterday. We've only been here a week. But we drove 3 hours to get to Carson City, and I would think that there's plenty of product there. I'm hoping that there is, and then an hour beyond that is Reno.
Yeah,
So,
I think Reno has a pretty big clay place up there, if I remember correctly.
good to know.
Yeah, but I know I talked to him. He drives his truck. He's got a big old truck, and he drives it all the way down to Santa Ana, and park and fills his entire back of his truck with all his clay and everything he needs, and drives it all the way back in a day. He says he leaves very early in the morning.
I may be calling him.
Yeah, you might say, when you go down to go get your clay, I put an order in.
Yeah, pick up a couple of bags for me, please. Yeah.
We're going to give it a couple more minutes.
Are you going to post this somewhere?
Pardon me?
Is this going to be posted somewhere? I see the recording light is on.
It will be. It'll go up with the video, with the studio tour, as this was this month's meeting. I just started recording. I didn't record most of the chatter. Maybe I should have.
It has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's where it'll go, right?
I was planning to cut it out and just start with the official stuff, but maybe it's good that there are informal things going on. The odd thing is there are now 23 people logged in, but I can only see 9 people, and that's probably true of many of us.
You're now on 2 sheets. You have.
I know.
Yeah, you have.
I know, but that means I can't watch everybody's face. I can't see if anybody gestures. You know, it's a kind of.
Are you on a computer, Win? Because
Limited
I've got
window.
26.
Yeah, so you're on a computer.
Yeah, I'm on my
iPad.
MacBook Pro, and I've got 26.
You open okay, well, I'm going to try to
If you click on gallery view.
Yeah,
there you
Gallery
go.
Review, but I'm on an iPad, so I've got 9.
Oh, yeah, you won't get it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's 24. It says the number.
Yeah.
Oh, now it says 24.
Hey, Car.
Yeah. I'm not getting I'm not getting everybody in one either.
Oh.
We might have more people here than come to a regular meeting. You got anything you need a quorum for?
Right. Now we know how we can do it.
We're not quite there. Yeah.
A friend and I coordinate a local poetry reading series up here in Ojai. And we've done it for years now. We've built a pretty good attendance, but when we first started doing our Zoom readings, we thought, oh, this is probably going to devastate our regular attendance. But it turned out that we get more people in the Zoom readings than we do in our brick and mortar readings.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be the same.
No travel. Yeah.
We don't have to worry about parking here either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to introduce Cassandra Glickman. She may not be on your screen, but she's a brand new member. And she's been firing a kiln with me at my house. She and her husband, Russell, and they used to work out of Moore Park College. And she does very interesting things, and so does her husband. So there's a picture of her somewhere. She seems to be on page 2 right now, but Cassandra, here you are, Cassandra. That's
Hi there.
Cassandra Glickman.
Nice
Hi,
to meet
Cassandra.
everyone. Hello, nice to meet everyone. Russell had to work tonight, or he'd be with us too. Hopefully, we'll still be meeting when he gets home. It's nice to do this. I mean, I've never been to a meeting before, so this is all I know of it, and it's great. It's wonderful to see all these faces.
It is.
Christine, have you gone off of your hormone replacement? You look a little masculine. Oh, there you are.
I'm trying to cook dinner at the same time. I'm
Ah,
sorry.
gotcha. Well, there, Marion, did I get you?
See, well, you can swipe.
We'll let Walt stand in your substitution.
Okay, yeah, he's very interested how you're going to run this meeting, since he is got his tractor group and they're in a quandary about how they're going to meet. So,
Well, we're wondering how we're going to run the meeting too. So
yeah. Well, I just, you know what I thought initially you were going to do was like the conference they had in Davis, that ceramic conference where you just had like yourself as a main speaker and then people could chime in. I didn't think you were going to do everybody on Zoom individually. So
that takes a lot more technology, Christine. They had
okay,
like a couple of techie people backing him up to move from place to place. That was rocket science.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we should start.
Yes.
And some other people may join, and that'll be the way it goes. So I'm going to mute everybody for the moment.
Please.
So you're now all muted. I'm going to talk a little bit first. I'm going to do a president thing. And then we're going to have a short business meeting. So there are people who are officers of the board who, you know, if they have something that they want to share with everyone, they can. And then we're going to go into the conversation, if there is one, about the much of one about the video, the studio tour video that I did. So I took a look before I logged in. 71, it's been viewed 71 times. Pretty good. And we got a series of questions that were submitted about it, 7 or 8 of them. And we're going to do like live questions. And what we're going to attempt to do in general about questions is you have a chat function. And for me, it's under more, under the like the little 3-dot thing. Chat, but if you bring up a chat window, you can type a question, and if you have a question, you can if you have a question that you want to ask about the video, but the studio tour, try to send it directly to Brenda, not to everyone. But if you have something that you want to say in relation to whatever's going on, go ahead, send it to everybody, and I'm going to rely on Brenda to flag and let me know that there are questions there that need to be dealt with. And we'll see how that works, rather than everybody being on speaker all the time or on microphone all the time. And we don't know, we're just trying, right? So all of our group and public events have been on pause for the foreseeable future. So one of our pivot teams was to figure out how can we do things that involve people in the guild related to pottery, and this was one of the things we came up with. The other option we may play with later is doing a live stream of something, somebody doing a demo, or I think we're in conversation with 1 or 2 of people who were lined up previously to present, whether they would be interested in trying to do a live event. So that may happen. This is like beta test 1. So the meeting is being recorded. And it probably won't get edited, but it may. I mean, I'm going to go through and watch it, and if the things, it seems like there are ways to save some time, I may cut out some space, some blank space, like silence or something. But so it'll go up on the YouTube channel too, so that the meeting for July included that video tour, the studio tour video, and this post tour video, the meeting. So I think that's kind of the logistics. So the first thing, so I said all of our events are canceled, or they're on pause. They're not, hopefully not canceled. And the only thing we really have going on that relates to what we did before is the gallery. So the gallery is back open. It's not fully open. Like we have to be operate inside of the county health guidelines, which the harbor is required to operate within, and we're kind of in that. So we're open, and the amount that we're open is to some degree managed by the number of people who feel like it's safe for them to work during this time. There are people who are older, people that are ill, people that have whatever their own personal reason is. They don't feel like it's safe to work, and so they're not working. So we have our hours adjusted to the number of people that are able and willing to work. And currently we're open Monday through Thursday. Monday through Thursday, 12 to 4, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, our normal hours, 11 to 7. Starting in August, it's going to be Monday through Wednesday, 12 to 4. And Thursday is also going to be open all day. The interesting thing from a business perspective is even with our limited hours, our sales are about 70-75% of what they have been historically. And one of the things we looked at when it was like, well, we could only be open. We started out being open 4 hours a day for a few days a week. And we were like, well, which 4 hours? So we went back and looked historically at what were our best 4 hours, and it turned out to be 12 to 4. So when our hours are limited, that's when we're open, and it turns out those must be our best hours because we're doing okay. Something that came up recently, it's related to the it's related to the harbor. So the gallery pays rent to the harbor, and we pay a percentage of sales, and we pay some other fees related to upkeep of the public space and so forth. And the harbor, when the lockdown happened, the harbor offered all the stores there, restaurants, everybody there, to defer their rent, not to cancel their rent, but to defer the rent. And we still don't know what that means in terms of how they intend to resolve that, or what offer they're going to make to us, or whatever in the future. But by postponing or deferring the rent, those general fees that we pay, we're only paying 50%. So we're saving 50% by deferring the rent, even though we technically have the money to pay it. But in order to do that, in order to defer the rent, we had to apply for one of the government COVID-related loans. And the only one that we were eligible for was an SBA disaster loan. And they just recently responded to us and said that the loan hasn't been approved, but we were approved to the point that we could apply for a loan. So the board met, we agreed to apply for a $20,000 loan. It's 2 3/4%. It's amortized over 30 years. It can be paid back at any time without penalty. It can only be spent on COVID-related expenses. So we can't use it to improve the gallery or open up another space or anything like that. It's all COVID-related. So as we talked about it, I mean, to me, it's like it's insurance. That the interest on the loan is $45 a month. So for $45 a month, we have a $20,000 in effect insurance policy if this gets really bad, and it's going to cost us more money than let's say it has so far. It hasn't cost us that much money yet, But so when we get that money, if we get the money, we'll put it in a CD or something so it can just sit there. We don't need it. It's literally an insurance policy. If we don't need it and the emergency's over or we're done with it, we'll give it back and pay our $45 a month for the period of time that we had it. But if we need it, it's there. The other thing, because of this was in the newsletter, but just to say, because our events are canceled, like our sales and so forth, one of the main projects that we took on out of this, one of our main pivot team projects was getting an online store going. So we're pretty close to being able to test the online store with some people from the gallery. We're going to run it for, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months. We're going to run a pilot program and finish ironing out the problems that we have and make sure we have systems in place that work. And then it'll get opened up to all the jury members of the guild. So it won't be related to gallery membership at all. If you're a jury member, you can sell online in the guild online store. I think that's what I think I have to say in terms of kind of a general, at least what today to me are the hot topics, I guess. But I want to see if there's anyone else who's who's on the board who has anything about their area or anything else related to what we're up to that they'd like to say. I'm just going to alphabetically go down the list here. So I'm starting with Brenda. You're unmuted, Brenda.
Oh, I'm unmuted. We finished, as you saw in the newsletter, our membership contact, and it was great. Great. My team did a great job of contacting people, and everybody was very positive. We only had a couple people that were not feeling well. We did during this time lose one of our members, Jackie Swanson. Shit, I'm sorry about that. So if anybody knows her, I'd like to write something for the newsletter, but I don't know her at all. Jackie Sanford. She was, when I made her call, she was doing fine but bedridden, and I called her back because she wasn't getting her newsletter, and I got her roommate who'd been taking care of her, and she passed yesterday Sunday, but a week ago Sunday. So if you know anything about Jackie, give me a call so you can help me write. They're not going to write an obituary. They're not going to do anything like that. So, and she was a lifetime member. I think that's it, Wen. Oh, they just talked about how wonderful the board was. So I thought I'd say that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, Wen. Mute me.
Okay, thanks. And then moving down the list here, Rudy. Rudy does our communications, the newsletter. I thought I unmuted you. Yeah, I unmuted you.
The only difference is that now we're gonna do the newsletter every month. We're not taking off for the three months, in the summer. So that's the only difference that is happening. Besides that, not much to add.
Okay, thanks. Stacy. You have to unmute yourself. Mm-hmm. You're muted.
How about now? There we go, right?
Yeah.
So I've been working with Terry and Wynn and Troy and a couple of people on the online store. So I think that's really exciting. And we'll stay tuned and think about what you might like to put up for sale on the store. We'll have both products available for shipping and also for in-store pickup at the gallery. So stay tuned. You'll hear more about that as that rolls out in the next couple of weeks or month or so. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, thanks. Wanda?
I think Wynn's covered pretty much all the financial stuff. I do all the books for the gallery, and as finance chair, I oversee the treasurer portion of the guild, but Ro Estep does all the treasury work for the guild itself. Yep. Thanks for applying for the loan and doing all the legwork, Stacy and Wynn, and perhaps Drew. Yep, finance is going smoothly. It's nice to have the store open and running and making some decent sales. Wynn had a very busy day today at the gallery for a Monday. It was quite something.
Yeah. I didn't look. What the total was the total for the day?
You know, I don't know. I didn't add it up yet.
You didn't look either.
Well, you just had 14 receipts, which is 100 receipts for a Monday. I didn't add the total.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Wanda. So Terry's not on the board, but Terry's been doing most of the work related to the website, the new website. So how'd you like to give everybody an update?
Well, we started, Wynn and I got together to hatch this idea way back before the COVID thing started. Yeah. And once the lockdown happened, it was perfect timing to be able to immerse myself into starting this whole redesign, redevelopment, because these things take blocks and blocks of time, uninterrupted time. And so we've had a few meetings on Zoom with Wynn, Erica, and Brenda. More recently has joined the team. And I think it's coming along really, really well. We're just missing a little bit of content. And one of the things that people were asking for that that is in place is a section for members to be able to post images of their work in their own portfolio sections. So so that'll be something that that we're gonna start populating. So right now, just the four of us have looked at the site and tweaked it and kicked around ideas, but the time is coming real soon to start reaching out to more people and say, hey, come on, let's put up portfolios so we can see what it can be. And so that's where it is right now. I think it's pretty much all the moving parts are there. Oh, and it'll have individual usernames and logins. That's how you get to do your portfolio. So there'll be a process where I'll be getting everybody into the membership database. So you can expect to hear more about that soon as we get everybody in there. Yeah, and let me see what else. The online store, Stacy talked about that already. That's something that's a separate website. It's a different development effort, but they'll all work together. So yeah, so I don't know if anybody has any questions. Did I cover everything that you think with? Is there anything we need to add there? But yeah, it's exciting. Yeah. It's coming along.
Just a quick question. You know, you might give people a heads up, or at least people here a heads up about the elements that you might be looking at for a portfolio page or a member introduction page. So if some of the basic elements, you want a photo, you want 5 images, you want an artist statement. I mean, if you're thinking conceptually about what those elements are. If you give people a heads up now, can work on them and get you that material sooner, just as a suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. Send out a preview, kind of a, not a preview, I don't know, a coming soon kind of a thing, I guess. But yeah, and the portfolios are going to be something that the member does themselves. Like you go online, you log in with your username and password, and then on your page you'll be able to upload your own pictures and type in your own bio, and you can put links in the bio if you have a website someplace else or something like that. So so you'll be in control of posting your stuff and changing it whenever you want. So it's not like you have to wait for somebody else to do it for you.
Yeah, I was just curious if you had a template or something, and that way that there would be a sort of an overall professional look to the format of it, so that people could just fill in the box.
Well, that's exactly
what it is.
What it works.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a templated thing. So once half a dozen of us get portfolios up, people will be able to see the potential and what's there. And yeah,
we'll send out a how-to, like a little instruction sheet of how the different sections work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
Cool. That's all you got. Okay, so that's all I and we've got. So I'm just gonna throw
Can I
it
just ask a
open.
question? Are people interested in an update of what's going on with the ceramics program at the college? Okay.
I would say yes, but I would say that normally would happen at the end, more near the end of the meeting.
Okay, fine.
Or at least at the end of this meeting. Let's get through this, and then we can do an announcement thing.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. But if anyone's got any questions related to just guild business in general, because we've not been, other than these little groups of us that are working on things, we're not, seeing each other in the same way we were before. And so if anyone's got any questions and kind of general questions, if you want to unmute yourself and ask, we'll see if there's anything. Guess there's not. I guess we're all doing a great job. Thanks. Okay, so the next part here, we're going to go into, there's some questions about the studio tour that I videoed. And I'm going to start with the ones that were sent in, that were emailed in. And then if anyone's got any questions, so far we've all been very polite, so people can just unmute yourself and ask a question. We'll see. If it gets crazy, then I'll hit mute.
How can we ask a question if we're muted?
In chat. So it was going to happen in chat. So just unmute yourself and ask a question. And if it gets crazy, we'll take a deep breath.
Okay.
So the questions that I got in writing, I'm going to just go down them. I'll read them. They're actually in the chat list. Brenda typed them in. And I'm going to start at the top. So I'm just going to read the question, then I'm going to talk. So talk about the background of this property and studio. Is this where you live, work, teach, some or all of the above? I think you teach classes here, but I didn't quite figure out the background of the property. So this property's been a pottery studio for about 30 years. The current owner, Tony Mafrica, bought the property about 15 years ago, and he bought it from Oh my God, don't tell me I'm going to forget her name right now. Leslie Thompson, I think. Thompson, is that right? Tompkins, Thompson. Porcelain pots with dark iron slip with very, very, very intricate geometric carving in the slip.
Leslie Thompson.
Pardon, Thompson?
Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was Leslie's house. When she bought the house, the room that has the wheels in it now was here. And she had the kiln built, and part of the shed that's around the kiln. When Tony bought the house, this whole outdoor space where I'm sitting now, where the spray area and these outdoor tables, he added all of this. He finished building the kiln shed around the kiln. The smaller gas kiln was his elsewhere. He brought that. And the other kind of glazing and shelving area down at the end past all the kilns, Tony added that in there too. So it's an odd, I say it's interesting space. So I went once down to the county to talk to them about making a change to the gas on the property. It's got a commercial gas line. And the guy told me to move down the counter with him and said, you couldn't get this on your property now. And there's nothing in writing that guarantees that it's grandfathered in. It's all up to your neighbors. So unless you've got something really dramatic you need to do, you should leave it alone. So we didn't make any changes. We left it alone. But it's got I think it's a 2-inch gas line coming in. So that's, and then I don't live here. At one point I did live here. There's a little studio apartment up front that I lived in for about 18 or 20 months and lived here and worked with Tony in the studio. And it was during that time that some of this stuff happened. So we extended the shelf, the roof line outside. Those shelves with the shelving units with all the movable shelves. We tore down some old shelving that had been here for 25 years that, it was just here, but wasn't very functional. We tore all that down and rebuilt all those shelves. And Tony worked here till about 4 or 5 years ago. Well, he lived here till about a year and a half ago, but he worked till 4 or 5 years ago, and he just had gotten to the point where he could make a few slab pots, but he couldn't bisque them or glaze fire them. And, he still had the desire, but the body and mind were no longer willing, or willing or able. Anyway, Wanda, did that answer your thing?
So there's a school there, you have students that show up and you teach classes, is that it?
I don't teach classes. So it's a membership studio. There are a few people that pay a monthly fee to use the studio. I mean, if you looked at the video, it's a big studio.
Yeah.
So a few people that pay to use the studio. I fire pots for 5 people who have little studios at home and bring things here to fire content. And I do one-on-one sessions with people, and not beginners. So people who have basic skills or moderate, medium level skills who want help with specific shape, or they keep running into this problem or that problem. When we sit down and we throw together and troubleshoot. In terms of group classes, I teach at the Vita Art Center in Ventura, and I teach teenage classes there in the summer and adult classes pretty much year round, although those were stopped for a long time, but they're starting up there again. I like teaching, but I don't like the chaos of a bunch of beginners in my own studio. So, was that it, Wanda?
That's good.
Yeah, okay. So the next one is it looks wonderful to work outside, but when it's rainy, cold, windy, you have to take your glaze spraying indoors. Now, when it's rainy and cold, that nobody's working outside. I mean, the studio here, that the throwing room is covered, heated, and so forth. But unless it's raining, there's almost never a day that's too cold to work in the middle of the day in Ojai. So even if it's like 30, 35 in the morning, by afternoon it's 50. You know, and with a long sleeve shirt and a lightweight jacket, you could be outside here glazing or using the slab roller or whatever. So it hasn't been an issue so far. And the spraying certainly wouldn't go indoors. I mean, the spraying is horribly messy. Yeah, it would fill the whole. It would fill the whole room up with just powdered glaze. Even the super fine mist that would just go around everywhere and wind up covering everything.
Some places do actually use glaze booths indoors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had an alternate.
Yeah, no. I thought about putting a spray booth over there, and the spray booths I've used, I mean, that they don't give you back usable glaze in general, at least the way that they've been used there. I guess if you did one glaze at a time and sprayed it down and captured it, you could dry it back out. But I hose down the walls, and I have leaves on the ground, and when the leaves on the ground get covered with enough spray from the glaze, I get the rake and I rake them up and put them in the trash, and I get some fresh leaves and spread them over the ground. That's my spray booth.
Great.
So, and then comment, what a magnificent studio. Thanks, Wanda. I mean, it's a cool place to work. And it's not my studio, it's Tony's studio. I'm kind of the steward of the studio. That the profit that the studio makes from like people paying to fire pots, people paying their membership fees, goes into Tony's trust to help take care of him. I get to work here for, I don't pay anything to work here. I buy my own materials, but I don't pay to work here. And if I do something specific one-on-one with someone here, they're paying me. They're not paying the studio. But the general money that comes in, all the access is going into Tony's care. So it's an interesting, like for me, it's like I feel an ownership and responsibility for it, but it's not mine. Right? It's his.
Thank you.
So how on earth do you load that kiln that looks like it wants to be an electric kiln, but it's a gas kiln? You can stack the rings. So you keep adding rings, you load, then put rings over or put the ring on and load it. How do you do that? So there are 4, I haven't measured them. I'd say they're over, they might be a foot. They're 12 or 14 inches high, maybe a foot, 12 inches rings. And then there are 2 6-inch rings. And I typically have 3 of the large rings there all the time. And that's the size that it gets used most often as a bisque kiln. It's easy to load. I can reach the bottom, just stack galore and fire. But there are times when there are bigger pieces. Like there's a guy I fire for who lives in Upper Ojai who makes hand-built pieces. In the video you saw one of his pieces in the kiln at the end. It's like 28 inches tall. Sometimes they're 30, 32 inches tall. And so that I can't do by myself. I mean, to put that in that bisque kiln, take everything down, take it down to 1, sometimes 2, but 1 or 2 of the rings, put the pot in, and then he and I together, we put over the top, like a ring down and a ring down and a ring down until we're tall enough till it's tall enough for the pot. It's just, 1 pot in there at a time. The thing until I got to California I never, well, I take that back because there was about 6-8 years where I had only electric kilns out east. But other than that period, I've always bisqued and glaze fired a glaze kiln in gas kilns. And so it's been a while. Actually, I've never done it in a small gas kiln like that. It was always my big gas kiln. I just loaded up the pots to bisque fire and bisque it and take it apart. And it'd be enough there for 2 or 3 glaze loads. This little kiln, because of the way it's designed, it doesn't overfire as badly in the glaze. It evens out more with the more heat. But at the bisque, there are 3 burners in a row, like across the kiln. So it's a hexagon, octagon. But from corner to corner, there are 3 burners, 2 in each corner and 1 in the middle. And the burners coming up the sides is where it's the hottest. And I have to be careful loading bisque kiln to keep pots away from there because they wind up getting fired if they're hit by the flame to, I don't know what the cone is. I haven't put a cone there, but they're vitrified. So 3/4 of the pot is a bisque pot and 1/4 of the pot's vitrified and brown and always cracked. So that's one of the things I have to constantly play with is how to buffer the flame around pots on those 2 things. And the only pots I have issues with mostly right now are platters, like larger platters. If it just inches around the shelf a little bit, the rims crack in those corners about half the time. But it's a cool kiln. Fires to cone 6. The glazes that come out of that kiln at cone 6 are really nice. And I have a little electric kiln too. I don't know whether that was in the video. A little 120 volt cone 6 electric kiln that's probably 3 cubic feet, maybe. And I have a little test kiln that's one of those like 6x6 or 8x8x6 little test kiln that will go to cone 6. All right, that was that kiln. A comment, I love your shelving system. Brenda, I love the shelving system too, I say. Another question, why spray versus dip, pour, brush, glaze? What does it offer you that other techniques don't? I do it on some pots for the texture. It's for the glaze texture, the texturing of the glazes. So I pour and I dip other pots. Depends on the glaze and depends on the effect. But the pots that look kind of like pointillist color patterns are sprayed.
And when on the vases that you were doing, had you already poured a liner glaze and then you just did the outside spray?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to hold them and just spray the inside, and it kind of works, but I ran into a couple times where it wasn't sealed enough and the pot would seep. Like, a vase would seep, so I gave that up and just pour the inside. I thin it out a little bit, but pour it. Yeah. And then this one, I had to laugh. This was a comment also from Brenda. I like the protocols you follow to reduce waste, sponging the glaze bowl, and your relaxed nature in the studio. And I laugh because spraying is horribly wasteful of glaze, as opposed to the dipping or the pouring. Probably uses at least twice the glaze to cover the pots. And I mean, it's not on the pots, it's going elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then comment this was from Brenda. Is this your comment, or this is from Rebecca?
No, that's just Troy telling me he knows something about Jackie, so you can skip that
Right.
one.
No, but this was then from Rebecca saying,
Okay.
like, she started spraying after a Stephen Hill workshop. And I also use a cheap Harbor Freight sprayer. I like the texture of the spray better than the $100 like and car sprayers, like a good high quality air gun that you buy to paint cars or something. I like the pattern and that I get from the cheap one. And another comment from Rebecca, she stirs with her hands too. I have to put my hand in the glaze to make sure it's the right thickness and that everything's off the bottom. Oh well. If I have like a really open wound on my hand, I do put a glove on. I'll put a plastic glove on, but otherwise I don't worry about it.
I do it too, and that's my concern because it's not the best thing to do because of all the heavy metals. So I was curious. It's something I learned way back in the 70s and still do it. But I try to avoid it. I did buy gloves, but they're not the same.
It's not the same, and maybe that's what's happening to my memory. Yeah. It's like, for about glazes. So I have a hydrometer, and I know approximately where I want the glaze with the hydrometer, but it's like, it's still not the same. I mean, different glazes need to be slightly different thicknesses, and there's something doing this for decades that it's like my hand is in it, I can feel it, I can see it drip off my hands, I can see what it looks like over my fingernails, and I know when the glaze is the right thickness. And I don't get that with the hydrometer. It's like it's always close with the hydrometer, but that tactile thing in the goo. And then next I've got something from Marie. Thanks for the butter warmer, tree wax, and glaze mixer, the red paddles. Question about the gallery. So Marie, you have a question?
Yes, I do. For those of us who live in Los Angeles, making a trip up is, we have to come when the traffic is okay to drive up. And I have been since before the shutdown trying to get up to get my pots, and it hasn't worked out. And it would be wonderful for people to who live in Los Angeles, who can't do the gallery hours and can't be a regular member of the gallery. I wish we had an associate membership or something like that, but I know that we're not doing commission. What is that word that I need? The
assignment.
Yes.
Consignment?
Consignment. Yes, thank you. But I wish that there were some way to be represented there.
We are doing consignment.
I was doing consignment, and I still have about 5 items I need to get up and pick up, but I'd have to come when the traffic will allow me to come.
Well,
do you have a key?
Get in contact with me because I live very close to the gallery, and if you want to come at 8 o'clock or at the evening or wherever, I can meet you there and let you in.
Okay. But I'd like to come up in the middle of the day if that's okay.
Oh, I thought that was the problem because
no,
couldn't make
no.
it.
And I thought we couldn't come in the middle of the day because that would be open for traffic. But I would just come and pick up my things and sneak
that would
away.
be fine. Yeah, that'd be fine. What we don't want is we don't want someone bringing new stuff into the gallery and wanting to rearrange their shelves and so forth while we're trying to limit the traffic in the gallery. But if you want to just come pick up your things, that's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm so sad that there's no way for us to be participate in the gallery. Maybe when things get better.
Do you mean something other than consignment?
Well, that's the only thing I'd be able to do because I live in Los Angeles.
But you are consignment. You have stuff in the gallery. It's on a shelf. I see.
But I thought we weren't doing consignment anymore.
Well, Wanda could say more about this, but there's a waiting list at this point.
Oh.
We're not taking anyone new into consignment.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I should just leave my things there.
Yeah, leave it there.
Someone was admiring your teapot just the other day. They didn't quite want to pay the price, but they loved it. So we just got to wait for the person who wants to pay the price, Marie.
Right. Maybe I should drop the price.
Well, I was there one day when I sold one of your $150 teapots. So you just have to wait for the right person.
All right, sweetheart. Thank you. But
Okay, that's all.
We'll be able to participate in the online store, won't we?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone that's juried can participate in the online store, and anyone who's a member, you don't have to be juried. If you're a member and you have work that you want to put in the members' portfolio space in the gallery, anyone who's a member can put their work in there.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah. So that's the end of the written questions. Any other questions? Anyone want to unmute and ask or add or?
When I see one from Nadia, do you mostly spray glaze?
If that's to me, probably 2/3 of my pots are sprayed. And then the others are mostly poured. Until I started spraying a few years ago, I almost 95% of everything I made was poured. I like the patterns and the texture of the glazes overlapping and stuff. So I still do, depending on the glaze and the pot, I still pour.
Where exactly is this studio located? Is it up on 150 or more?
It's in Miners Oak.
Oh.
In Miners Oaks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where Farmer and the Cook is?
Yeah.
Right around the corner from Farmer and the Cook.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if anybody wants to come by, just, let me know. I'm here most days.
It was a great tour.
Yeah. A gentleman called the gallery the other day when I was working, and he had 1,000 or so pots that he wanted to find.
Yeah.
And I sent him your number.
He came. He called me, and he came up here.
What
And
did
he's got about
work?
He had about 700 pots in his truck, and another few hundred back in Spark, Nevada. And they're small pots. He's got shoulder injuries from something in the past. He can't make larger pots, so he's making pots maybe up to 2 pounds. Lots of slab things that are fairly flat. And I don't know. We talked for an hour, and I said, I had a problem with the kiln. I got to fix the kiln. I got a fire. It's like, call me the middle of next week, and we'll come back and we'll try to work out something that works for both of us.
Good.
So, yeah.
Hey, Wynn.
So, yeah.
Wynn, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed the video, by the way. I just wanted to let you know that I thought it was well done, and I got a lot of information from it. So, well done. Thank you.
Who is that? Who said that?
Diane.
Hi,
Diane.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It was interesting to do. I mean, a number of those sections I recorded more than once. And there are things like I watched and I said, oh, like the glazing thing. Once I watched it, I was like, ooh, I'd like to redo that part and that part and that part, but the pots are glazed. Now what?
Do that.
And things that I learned that I would know if I did it again, or if someone else wants to do it, that I can give them some tips about kind of thinking about yourself in space versus what are you recording and so forth, to do more testing that I didn't even think of until afterwards.
So if any of you are interested in doing a video, it doesn't have to be an incredible studio like Wynn's. It can be one of our many garage studios, and we can put like 3 garage studios. And I have a line on someone that I have heard has the skills to help on something like that, because I couldn't do it on my own. I wouldn't want to do it on my own. But let me know if you'd be interested in doing that, and we'll put help you put it together.
Brenda?
Yes.
It's Sandy. And we had talked when you were calling around and checking out different members, and I have a technique for mounting my, I guess you would call them plaques, and the hangers and the way it works. And you talked about doing a video or something of that. So that people...
that's on my list, Sandy, to recontact you.
Okay. Well, I've got stuff. Let me know.
That's all for me, Wynn.
Thanks, Brenda. Anything else? I'm going to scroll through all the faces here and see what's happening. Okay, then. Well, that's the end of that part. Yeah, Crystal. Can you unmute yourself? No.
Yeah, I just have to leave. Sorry now, but it was so nice to see everyone here. Thank you all for coming, and I'm looking forward to more of these.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks, Crystal. Bye. Bye.
It's good to put names and faces together.
So one of the things we as the board and as the group talking about doing these things, we thought people might like to do is that if people just want to share what they're up to. I mean, we haven't seen each other. We haven't talked to each other about, what are we up to? So if anybody's doing anything in COVID land.
I have something.
Hmm?
I have something. I have wanted to free up my glazing strokes, what I like to draw on the pots. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to draw on the pots, but I found my drawing was a little too stilted, or it would like draw within the line. So I wanted to free that up. I'm taking Chinese brush painting, which I find frees my strokes. And I had translated some fishes and butterflies and some teepees and things like that nature. And it's wonderfully freeing. I should probably have the thing to show you, but I don't at this moment.
Well, Marie, I attended a workshop down at Amoca, and it was Paul Soldner, and he talked about how he frees up his strokes, and he took 3 tables and put them in a U shape. And his forms were large platters. And on each platter, he put a couple of pieces of, cheap paper. And he'd just work his way around. And at some point, he'd take the paper off and put it right on that's how he got himself loosened up by practicing on paper. And then pulling the paper away, and voila, there it was on the pot. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
How did you get it from the paper to the pot? I don't quite get that.
He was simply using the pieces of paper, laying them on the pot, and doing his brush strokes on the paper, working himself through the 9 pots that he had in that horseshoe. And sometimes he said he went around twice. And at one point, he knew he was ready. He was loosened up, and he would remove the paper and do it on the pot.
Great idea.
Like a voila, here I am. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
I had a chance last week to participate in an 11-country Zoom workshop with 2 Japanese potters, one in Japan and one in Asheville, North Carolina. And it was kind of a pretty amazing experience to, you know, everybody's on a different clock. Some people are up in the middle of the morning and some people are up, you know, late at night. But Ken Matsusuki in Japan and Akira Sataki in Asheville, North Carolina did this 3-day workshop. And it was a pretty incredible experience because we had an opportunity not only to see them create some of their work, but learn a little bit about the evolution and the history. And one of the things that was pretty fascinating about it is that several of their forms are similar, but and quite exquisite. But in the end, their approaches to completing that work were diversely different. So, you know, it was clearly a lesson in there's really no right way. And you have to listen to how the clay speaks to you and how you work with the clay to create it. But so it was very interesting, you know, sort of from a technical perspective and a philosophical perspective to share the time with them and have them talk about their work and really see the difference in their studio space and the way they work. So it was a cool experience.
Nice.
How did you find out about that event?
I won't even tell you. I've been trying to get into one of Akira's workshops for a really long time, but they're always full. By chance, I looked at my Instagram, and 20 minutes after he posted the workshop, I saw it. So I got in. Otherwise, there were 30 people, you know, and like I said, 11 different countries. So you can imagine how many people wanted in. It was crazy.
Right. Awesome.
Does Akira live in Carolina?
Yeah, he's in Asheville, North Carolina.
Right. He came to the Alabama Clay Conference a couple years ago in Montgomery and was one of the featured artists there. And he was fantastic. It was wonderful to get to see him work and to, you know, be familiar with his work. I found it inspiring.
Yeah, he really has this sort of casual nature to it. And you listen to his story, you know, Ken in Japan, you know, he's been doing this generationally. Akira is a musician.
Right.
He came to the United States and opened, I think, a recording studio.
Right.
And at some point in time decided he didn't want to do that anymore and thought, oh, well, I like ceramics. And so he turned that into, you know, his profession. So they come at it from such different perspectives, but in a certain harmonious way. It's fascinating. That's cool. You got to see him in person.
Oh yeah, I got to spend a couple days with him, and my friend helped put on the conference that year. So I had dinner with him and the other featured presenters, and I felt like I was, you know, rubbing shoulders with the rich and famous or something. The talented and interesting, maybe. Actually, the Alabama Clay Conference this year was right at the beginning of the COVID thing, right before the shutdown. And I was really grateful that I got to go do that. It was down in Orange Beach. And because I came home sort of inspired, and then we were all closed down. So I was able to sort of work on what I was exposed to. It's like a mini NCCA, you know, there are many fewer people, so it's a little more intimate, but still some great artists.
Marion, what's your connection to the Alabama Clay Conference? How did you first find out about it?
Well, I have a really good friend who went to UCSB in ceramics with me in the 70s, and she ended up going to grad school in New York and then got lured to Montgomery, Alabama to be the curator of education when they were building their new Museum of Art. And so she got involved with the Alabama Arts Alliance, and they put on the Alabama Clay Conference. They're one of the sort of mother groups. So my friend Tara lives in Alabama. She's active with the Clay Conference, and the year that she was the one who was the lead person, lead coordinator of the whole thing, it was in her hometown of Montgomery. And I decided I wanted to go, partly just to be supportive of her. And two of our friends and colleagues who also went to UCSB in the same era went also. And Tara put her up in her house, and we hung out in Montgomery and really felt the sort of intimacy of the small format. It was like NCCA 40 years ago, you know, because I mean, you know, there are like 5,000 people that go to NCCA, and I think the Clay Conference, if it's a big year, might get 500.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and Tara did a great job of organizing it. I think it has had its own development and is sort of more together now than it used to be. So yeah, this year the featured presenters were Steve Laux and Naomi Clemens and Shadow May, and I'm trying to remember who else. Anyway, they were really great, but it's the same kind of thing that like NCCA, that the featured presenters, there are two of them at the same time on the stage with video cameras so that everything is seen and enlarged. And then they have 2 days running, so they finish pieces that they started on the second, you know, the second day they finished what they started on the first. And they talk between each other, and you get a sense of what their lives are like in the studio. And then they have what they call the market, what do they call it? I don't know. A lot of the Alabama clay artists, they have to, and the featured presenters get to have tables of their own work. So you get to see, you know, a couple dozen people's work for sale. And they have a commercial distributors thing, sort of like NCCA. So
I think those smaller conferences are very viable and more within the reach of our members. You know, that's what I like about Secaucus, the one up in Davis. It has, again, the NCCA feel, but it's a lot smaller and a lot less expensive, and you can drive up there. So.
Right. Yeah. Does that happen? I haven't been to that one. Does that happen every year, or I just heard about it for the first time?
Yes, it happens every year. I probably went, oh gosh, I don't even want to guess how long ago it was, but they're doing another one. They did their spring one all online using Zoom, I think. And it was remarkable. It was like Barbara was talking, you know, can we move from place to place, and you know, not with our technology, no, but they had all these technology. And they're doing another one in August. I think I put it in the newsletter last month. I heard about it. It's just going to be a one-day one, but it's all online.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll be able to go up there some point and have the, you know, the in-person one.
Yeah, that's really nice.
John Natsoulis, who does that conference, is doing one day, like 4-hour workshops for $50 with some of his artists, and they're pretty good. You get to make things alongside the artists as they're doing it. So it's something to just kind of Google John Natsoulis gallery and see what he's up to.
How do you spell his last name?
Natsoulas.
Okay.
Right. But John Mitsulis, it's in Davis.
And he has a gallery and a nice Facebook page.
Okay.
But he had Patty Warashina do a workshop. I think he just had Kevin Stites do a workshop. So he's getting some pretty interesting people.
Nice.
I'm gonna say goodbye. It's nice seeing all of you.
Bye, Wanda.
Bye, Wanda.
Thank you for
Yeah,
everything.
I need to do the same. If this was, good job, Win. Good job.
Good job.
Thank you. Good job.
Yeah.
Me too.
Very good job.
Yeah, thank you all on the board. I appreciate it.
It was a good experiment.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Well done. Are we all signing off now?
I am.
Seems like it. Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
It was very interesting.
Good night.
Barbara?
Good night.
I haven't seen you in ages.
Hi, this was really nice.
Oh.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Bye.
Oh, Barbara, you never said what's going on with Ventura College.
If you're interested, I'd be happy to share.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, since ceramics is a studio class, and the college has gone 90% online with all their classes for the fall, and they're thinking probably the spring also.
Yeah.
The ceramics class is one of the 10% classes where they've made the decision that they could come on campus, and they could come on campus 6 times during what's now a 12-week semester. And the students can come on campus for something that'll look like maybe 90 minutes for each of those 6 visits. So one will be an orientation, one will be returning tools, and then the other will be turning in and picking up projects. So all of the instruction basically is going to happen off campus. They're having some crazy conversations about whether or not they can get students on a wheel in and out in 90 minutes. And you know that the situation there is not even going to allow people to stand in line and clean their wheel in 90 minutes. So it's the instructors are extremely challenged now. Everybody's had to take Canvas is the tool that a lot of the schools, elementary schools, high schools, and now the colleges here are using for the instructors to use online learning. And so all the instructors had to take a 4-week class in how to teach their curriculum online. And I think and any of you that are familiar with registration for the ceramics classes, they're always full. You know, at this point in time, every single class is full and there's a waiting list. Every single class now is open, and some classes only have half of the enrollments, you know, so they may have 12 students in it rather than the 25, because people understand that they're not going to have that same experience. There are still advanced students who are registering because they don't want to lose access to kilns and, you know, glazing and being able to continue their work in ceramics. And so I was, you know, I know that the Guild has made a long-term commitment to work with the educational programs in the high schools and the community colleges here. And, you know, I wanted to bring it to the Guild's attention that this was going on, and to sort of raise the question about whether there were any opportunities to sort of refocus the kind of support that was offered traditionally on campus. I have no idea what's going on in the high schools, but you know, if there's a way to refocus that and look at ways to support advanced students who are either, you know, art majors that want to follow a career in ceramics, or students that have just embraced ceramics and are getting good at it and now are going to get, you know, the short end because of what's going on with COVID. I don't really know what that looks like beyond some kind of, you know, active outreach to engage in guild meetings and demos, that kind of thing. But, you know, it would be, you know, I'm thinking, you know, when it might be something where we look at how to, you know, package what you're doing and offering there, if there's a way, you know, if that's available, you know, for students, and what that might look like, or if there are other spaces that you're aware of that would help them support them with more of a hands-on experience. You know, everybody, you know, not everybody, but, you know, probably 75% or 80% of the classes are all wheeled classes there, with a small percentage of students doing hand building. So I don't know how to support advanced students that don't have the capacity to have their own wheel or have their own kiln. And if that's a role right now that the Guild wants to take on, but I felt it was important to make people aware of it and say, you know, do we have a role in this or not? And, you know, I don't know the finances, but, you know, we talk about, you know, the faculty is having to, you know, start creating demos, and that's equipment. So I know we've supported students in the past. I don't know what the college is doing to support faculty, but, you know, I don't know if we could create a loaner, you know, bank of equipment that if we're going to try to develop videos, if there's a way to make things available to instructors. I don't know. I felt it was important, because I think it's part of what the commitment of the Guild has been. So that's pretty much. I don't know if you have any questions, but that's my summary.
I do have a question. Is there no outdoor space that they could pull the wheels out to, so that they could be outside and still work? And then the old fashioned way of cleaning your stuff in a bucket like we do, you know, when you don't have the sinks and stuff. Is that a possibility, that so they could actually, you know, help more students to come in and spend more time on the wheels?
No, the college administration is being incredibly safe in the decisions that they're making. And so it's not a ceramics faculty decision, because as I understand it, most of them are willing to be available. But, you know, they're what the college basically is allowed are these 6 visits. And in essence, if a class winds up having 20 students in it, 10 students can come in for the first 90 minutes, and they have to clean everything before the next set of students come in. And then before anybody else can come in, the whole classroom has to be cleaned. And then on another day, another class can go in.
Yeah.
So they have really shut the campus down.
Yeah.
And
Well, they
they're
have
very
huge
lucky.
liability. They have a huge liability they've got to cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say we should talk about putting something in the next newsletter. And I'll talk, you and I should talk. I mean, I might be able to have somebody come up here and work, or there could be some rotating person at a time or something. There's room here.
Nice.
That's great. I think there's really a handful of advanced students. They're kids that just, you know, they're not retired and doing this, you know, they're doing a second job if they can get one, and they just really want to maintain their skills. So I think if we, you know, let's talk and let's see what the possibility is.
Especially if anybody has wheels outside, you know, which wouldn't infringe on anybody's health or anything.
Mm-hmm. I have a wheel outside. So, I mean,
Good night.
there may be other people too. I mean, there's just this little group of us here. If
Yeah.
we put something together to go to the newsletter and see, there may be other people too who would be able to participate in some way.
That's great. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
Barbara.
it's tough. It's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Okay.
dropping away. It's the last
Okay.
5. Okay.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks, Wynn, for doing this.
Yeah, it's great.